Hi, my name's Dr. Gedney, and some people call me Dr. G, especially the inmates I took care of for 30 years as a prison doctor. 2016, I walked out of those gates after almost 30 years, and then I had to decide what I exactly was going to do. And I decided that I still wanted to make an impact on the prisons. I wanted to shift that prison paradigm from harm and recidivism to healing and reintegration. I wrote a book, 30 Years Behind Bars, and today I am so glad to have Robin Bates. He is someone who has a unique experience. He started work as a custody officer in the 1970s. Then he moved up through the ranks in terms of caseworker, sergeant, lieutenant, became a warden of both a female prison, a male prison, also was really responsible for classification. He was chief of classification, and that is classifying inmates to live in certain areas and with different inmates based on the types of crimes they did, the types of behavior they had. But he has a unique interest, and I'm going to let Robin talk about why he made that decision, leaving the prison to become involved with that society.
Thank you, Karen. After I retired early, at a young age, I wanted to continue to be involved with the people that I worked with for 30 years. In 2012, the Nevada State Prison was decommissioned and retired. Now, the Nevada State Prison at the time was one of the oldest prisons in the United States, 150 years old, 150 continuous years of operation, tons of history. It's a big project. First, there's a need to change the status of the prison from an occupied prison to a historic site. That's a lengthy process. It involves going through a state bureaucracy. It's a necessary process, but it involves making modifications to the physical plant that are necessary for access, for ADA requirements.
I ran into Robin when he was working in the assembly as a sergeant of arms.
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, "Hey, Karen, you ever consider sitting and being a member of the prison society? And by the way, this old prison, we're actually going to have a movie done in that prison." And I must say, I am a bit of an opportunist because I thought, one, that's fascinating, but two, if it's a historic site, then maybe they would sell my book in the museum. Tell us about what it was like to host a movie and what that was all about.
The Preservation Society was contacted by a Hollywood movie company with a suggestion that this prison become the site for their movie. And then in October and part of November, they filmed the movie. It was about a 3-month project for us. And at the end of it, we got a sizable donation for our museum and the interpretive exhibits that we're going to have on the tour route.
One of the things that I've seen around the country is that there's a number of old prisons now being turned into literally tourist attraction type sites. And I understand from you that there are people in that paranormal psycho world that are interested in old prisons. Have any of them contacted you?
We've been contacted by a number of paranormal organizations that want to schedule, after our permit is granted, they want to schedule overnight at the prison. They want to do investigations. They want to do flashlight walkthroughs at night. And we're considering that. Other prisons in the United States like ours, these are old territorial prisons that they're beautiful old places that lend themselves to this kind of thing. And of course, there's a lot of legend about the Nevada State Prison in particular is having high levels of paranormal activity. So the thing that you're trying to do here is, again, blend the two together so that you don't exploit the prison and do that at the expense of all the other things that we're trying to do, like our lecture series, our exhibits, and so forth.
History shouldn't be forgotten, and especially in the prison system, the way prisons have changed in terms of what they've done in the past, what they're currently doing. And I know old Nevada State Prison in the old days had the chamber for execution that, if I'm not mistaken, was the first place in the United States they used cyanide
Correct.
To execute.
That's correct.
Someone. And that place is unique, but what is the most unique thing you think about Nevada State Prison?
When they were excavating the sandstone quarry at the prison, fossilized footprints were discovered, and at first it was thought that they were the footprints of a giant species of humans that was previously undiscovered. And that would be 1.6 to 2 million years ago during the Pliocene era. The first scientists that looked at it said that's what they are, and the lack of human foot contours could be explained by the fact that they were wearing sandals. The second group of scientists that came to the prison and looked at these footprints said, that's bunk. These are the footprints of the giant sloth, who was oftentimes bipedal and stood upright. The debate over whether or not those were human or giant sloth raged all the way through the turn of the century in around 1900, and those footprints were displayed at the Chicago World's Fair in the Columbian Exposition.
When I did some pinch hitting work at Nevada State Prison, I saw their rock quarries, and I know at times the inmates would literally quarry the sandstone and make like monument type things for the sandstone. In fact, this is funny, my husband bought one of those because my husband also came in as a volunteer. And when I came home, there was this sandstone sort of thing in the front yard with our two names across, Macklin and Gedney. It looked like a tombstone. I was like, what is that doing on our property? And he said, well, the guys in the prison did this carving. I mean, it's a beautiful carving, but it sort of made me worried that I had a headstone already out on my property.